seat.
Hey, Nashville, thanks for watching News 2.
November 8th, 2000.
Bush supporters thought it was over.
Oh, my God.
Gore supporters thought it was over. It produced these early headlines, and then these later headlines.
Just an hour or so ago, the TV networks called this race for Governor Bush. It now appears that their call was premature.
There were 2 phone calls. The first one, the vice president made to concede the election and congratulate Governor Bush. The second phone call was approximately an hour later. It was certainly a surprise that someone who had called to concede the election was calling back to retract that concession.
We now need to resolve this election in a way that is fair, forthright, and fully consistent with our Constitution and our laws.
Secretary Cheney and I have carried the state of Florida. And if that result is confirmed in an automatic recount, as we expect it will be, that we have won the election.
The American people have now spoken, but it's going to take a little while to determine exactly what they said.
Tonight, counting the votes. History on hold.
From ABC News, this is Nightline. Reporting from Austin, Texas, Ted Koppel.
They will be talking and writing and arguing about this one for years. Losing is bad enough under any circumstances, but when the margin of victory in a presidential race is a few hundred votes in one state, how do you get over that? No matter who ultimately ends up winning. And that's the madness of this presidential election. Here we are more than 24 hours after the networks normally have these things locked up, and we still don't know. Maybe it'll be another 10 days before we do. Maybe there'll be a lawsuit tying things up even longer than that. All we do know is how it began last night. We were hoping to chronicle the last few hours of the winning campaign. So we put off our departure from Washington until evening so that we'd know.
The closest election in a generation.
The night is young, but this election is riveting.
Stay with us. We're about to take you on an exciting and bumpy ride.
Early on, things
Vermont,
began falling right for the Gore campaign.
A big call to make. CNN announces that we call Florida in the Al Gore column.
We are now able to make a projection in the state of Florida. ABC News projects that Al Gore wins the state of Florida.
And early on, the mood within the Bush campaign, as reported by ABC's Dean Reynolds, was one of grim determination.
We've just reached the Bush campaign to talk about the loss of Florida as well as the loss of the state of Michigan. Well, not surprisingly, the governor's people are saying they have many formulas to get to 270 without Florida and without Michigan. But it must be galling for them to have spent so much time campaigning in both states and now see them go to Al Gore.
Terry Moran is ABC's correspondent with the Gore campaign in Nashville.
As the networks call the big states, the big 3 states for Al Gore, you can hear the loud cheers surrounding this plaza, the people waiting to get in. This is a campaign that while they hoped to win, while they worked hard to win, in the last couple of weeks probably were readying themselves for not winning. And so hearing as these big crucial states come their way, this cheer, you get a sense not just of joy, but of surprise. If, in fact, Al Gore carries the country, there's going to be one heck of a party in Nashville tonight.
We begin Tuesday night on what will prove to be something of a fool's errand, trying to anticipate events.
It's Ted Koppel. Is Carolyn there, please?
We're seeking guidance from ABC's decision desk manager, Carolyn Smith, in New York.
I would say go to Nashville, except we have just found out that the input people may have input the sample incorrectly in Florida, and Florida may go south on us.
What do you mean? Nashville, but you may be wrong?
It should be simple enough. Election day, late evening. We want to be where the winner is.
I don't know if Florida is bad. I have been warned that it's a 50-50 chance that Florida is in trouble. And that's where I am at the moment.
So basically, it's a little better than a flip of the coin right now, go to Nashville. The momentum at this hour is still pointing toward Gore. It's a little after 9:40 Tuesday evening. We've come to Atlanta, Georgia, to give ourselves maximum flexibility in terms of where to go next, Austin or Nashville. The ABC News political desk hasn't been able to make a final call yet as of this hour, but the way it's going at the moment, Pennsylvania for Gore, Florida for Gore, Michigan for Gore, it looks as though our next stop is going to be Nashville. Even as we're boarding the flight to Nashville, the networks have reassessed the numbers coming out of Florida. One by one, they will take Florida out of Gore's column and put it back into the undecided category.
I don't believe that some of these states that they've called, like Florida, I just don't believe we've got enough evidence to be able to call the state.
In the Austin hotel, where Governor Bush is watching the results with his family, there is a strong sense that the race in Florida is not over.
That it is now equally probable that either candidate can win? TV3 control. Okay, I want you to pull back Florida, and I want you to say it is equally probable that either candidate can win in Florida.
Now, you know that Florida is, from our point of view, now too close to call. It was projected for Mr. Gore earlier in the evening. It is now too close to call.
Stand by. CNN right now is moving our earlier declaration of Florida back to the too close to call column.
What the networks give us, the networks taketh away. NBC News is now taking Florida out of Vice President Gore's column and putting it back in the too close to call column.
That's bad data, bad input. We've got to sort it out.
Just before 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Florida is pulled from the Gore column by all the major networks. In Austin, the crowds come alive with the news.
It's like the home team has just had a rally in the bottom of the sixth inning here. There's been a sea change in the mood. People have been cheering wildly as the networks, one after another, changed their projection on Florida from a Gore state to a toss-up.
Just after 10 p.m. here in Nashville, and the crowd that is gathered in War Memorial Plaza has something to cheer about. California predictably has fallen into the Gore column, and Hillary Rodham Clinton is now giving her acceptance speech, her victory speech in New York, and this crowd likes that. But I must tell you, the air went out of the balloon in this crowd for a good hour or more after all the networks took Florida out of the Gore column, put it back in the toss-up column. It was a remarkable feeling as the crowd just silenced. They felt they were on their way to victory, and it looks as if they're going to have a much longer night indeed.
If they only knew. It's just after 11 p.m. Eastern Time, and the Washington Post, like every other media outlet, is hedging its bets. The headline, Bush, Gore, down to the wire, as dozen states are too close to call.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by Compaq.
Where do you find inspiration? Sometimes where you least expect it. With technology that takes you beyond old boundaries to something more inspiring. Like the Compaq ProLiant server. With a 1.75-inch profile that fits everywhere, you can have your next big idea anywhere. Welcome to the new IT. Inspiration technology from Compaq.
Time to buy Montero Sport. 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for an entire year on our best-selling Mitsubishis. Hurry, this deal ends soon.
The race, the vote, and a night like no other.
This race has come down to the state of Florida.
Good Morning America with the latest on the election tomorrow.
I used to use a typewriter. I used to have an 8-track.
I used to have open heart surgery as the only option for my patients.
I used to worry about his heart.
I used to think I'd have to have a big scar right here. I used to have a heart problem.
Vanderbilt Heart, one heart at a time.
If you want Gemini Auto Care and Goodyear tire value, now's the time at Nashville Tire.
Here's your chance to get some extra cash, because right now you'll get a $50 value card when you purchase a set of 4 selected Goodyear tires on your Goodyear card. Plus, experience the value of Gemini Automotive Care. So get the tires and get a $50 value card only at Goodyear.
Come see us now at Nashville Tire for great tire values and Gemini Auto Care.
Passengers are getting off flights, emerging from their airborne information vacuums, only to learn that Bush now appears to have the edge.
Notice, though, that one of the ways George Bush is inching closer to what he needs is by winning the home states of Bill Clinton and Al Gore.
By the time we get here to Nashville, it's after midnight Eastern time, and now the momentum has shifted totally. Now it appears that Governor Bush needs only 24 electoral votes to win. Florida is back in the game, and it, of course, has 25 votes. As we head toward Gore headquarters, radio is focused on the most critical state.
Do you have any notion what is happening in Florida, where the vote is coming from and where the vote is missing?
Standing outside the Gore Hotel, Jesse Jackson.
You ever seen a closer one? No, I've never been a closer one. It's amazing.
It's just nail-biting time here as the last few states are yet to come in. The mood of the crowd is on edge. I took a walk around a little while ago, talked to a couple of Gore staffers who were, and I think the only word is stricken by the departure of Florida from their column. Early projections had Florida in their column, and when it left, that sense that Al Gore was on a roll left as well. There's one other feeling in this crowd. It's a little bit of resentment against Ralph Nader.
As ABC's Dean Reynolds notes, no one is leaving the plaza in Austin, Texas.
It's about 10 minutes after 11 Central Time, and the rain is falling. The umbrellas are out. It is a miserable night in Austin, but everybody is glued to the big screen here in the plaza with their eyes on Florida.
We have not called that race. Okay.
At ABC's election desk in New York, the pressure to make sense out of the Florida numbers is making them downright giddy.
You guys are working on a Gore scenario in Florida, is that correct? I have 2 separate decision teams working on it. One of them thinks it's going to go one way, one of them thinks it's going to go the other way. We're sitting here. One of them's probably right. They want me to explain what's happening with Florida. So now only you got to project Florida. We got to come up with something. What? Hey, guys, call it really fast, and then they won't come. By the time they get set up, we'll have called it. Oh, God.
The mood at Gore headquarters is somber. The candidate and his senior advisors are several floors up, but the sense of gloom has leached into every room where Gore supporters are gathered.
As I look at the crowd in there, it's a pretty somber-looking crowd. And how's the mood gone this evening?
Like that. We've run through the gamut. We were euphoric when Florida was announced earlier in the evening, and then it's just been a really long evening, and the numbers are going like this. We're closing in Florida. The gap is really closing, so I think we still have a good chance of winning it.
You really are asking a group of people who are diehard lawn friends, friends who have done work in the administration, friends who've done work in the White House and in the campaign, and this is a group that until somebody goes to bed a long time from now, we're going to be the first to say there's still a chance to pull this out.
The mood upstairs, this is going to be a difficult time.
I don't think anyone is in our lifetime seen anything like this. This is an incredibly close election. Everybody is remarkably calm. but I think at the same time very tense, obviously. The matters of 5,000, 10,000 votes are separating the two candidates in Wisconsin, in Iowa, in Florida, even at this late hour. So it's a very tense time. It's an exciting time. This is history here in the making. All day long, the exit polls had been coming out ever since 1 o'clock Eastern time, and they consistently showed a 3 or 4 point lead for Gore in Florida, 50 to 46, 50 to 47. And then when the networks projected Florida for Gore, it didn't seem as that much of a stretch. If you have all these exit polls all day long, then all the networks who are expert at predicting these things, supposedly, predicted Florida. And then took it back. So it's been a topsy-turvy evening for all of us. I'm sure it's true for the Bush campaign as well.
You're all operating at the outer edge of fatigue, I would think, right now.
Yes, absolutely, especially at the end of a campaign as long as this one has been.
Exactly. So when something like this happens, where the networks in effect dangle it in front of you and then
take it away.
Take it away. Can you describe what went through the senior staff and perhaps even how the candidate reacted at that point?
I think it was the same for all of us. It was a sinking feeling for a moment, and then you regroup very quickly and you try to figure out what does that mean? Where are we in Florida? Which areas have been counted and haven't been counted? Fortunately for us, the main areas that hadn't been counted at that point were Broward County and Dade County, which are the Democratic strongholds. And Bush had been up 150,000 or so votes at that point. Steadily, as the Democratic strongholds have come in, that lead has dwindled. Before I came downstairs, it was at 20,000 votes, and if it keeps dwindling, who knows? We may get Florida back for the second time tonight.
What's going on up there right now?
People watching Florida very carefully. People looking at Iowa just understand that Iowa came in for Gore, but that was very close. And trying to figure out what the right thing to do is for the country, for the supporters who are waiting outside in the rain now. Do we send them home for the evening, and does the candidate try to get some rest, or do we wait for a resolution of this tonight no matter how long it takes?
All right, give Florida to Bush, that's it. Florida to Bush, that's the presidency.
ABC News projects that Florida is going to go for Mr. Bush. The 25 electoral votes to Mr. Bush. Take a look at it. That takes Mr. Bush, by our projections, to 271.
George Walker Bush, the second son of a president to be elected president in his own right.
Unless there is a terrible calamity, George W. Bush, by our projections, is going to be the next president of the United States.
There is the face of victory, and then there is the face of defeat. It is just after 2:15 in the morning, and for supporters of Al Gore, the world has just collapsed. There are no more brave fronts, no more false bravado. It is over, or so it would seem.
There was a glimmer of hope. The pain abounds at this point. Once you get through the pain, you have to face the reality of Bush won and Gore lost.
Greg Simon, a senior advisor to the vice president, has chronicled this campaign by writing a daily song. He has just come back from Gore's suite.
I got the sense, even though there was a sort of a feeling of gloom around this place later this evening, there was still a sense that you could pull it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Did he have that feeling too?
Absolutely. No doubt about it.
Until when?
Until people said it was over.
Until the network said it was over.
Right. Until we knew the absentees were counted as well.
Is there, has it reached the point yet of anybody thinking they know how and why it happened?
No. We're still dealing with it happening.
How do you deal with it? You've given how much of your life to this? How many songs have you written in the last?
44.
44 songs.
Right.
Is there going to be a song today?
I had one written in advance. Either way it came out. I'll Be Seeing You.
Have you? Can you?
I don't think I can sing it right now.
Are you up to one verse?
I'll be seeing you in all the old press filings, spaces, that this race of ours embrace it all year through. In that Tampa cafe, the park out La Crosse Way, the children's school, the morning shows, the press avails on Air Force Two.
You fought a good fight, and I know how difficult it must be for you right now.
Thank you.
Upstairs, the vice president has telephoned Governor Bush in order to concede the race. It is over for about an hour.
They hide in the shadows, under bridges, and in the alleys. Some people call them throwaways. Can you imagine how it must feel when your own parents don't want you? When I took over Crossroads, it was a shelter for teens, and it was pretty run down. So we started a project to rebuild, to make it a real home for the kids. Trouble was, we ran short of money before we could even get the roof up. I didn't know where to turn. That's when I called the Philip Morris companies, and they sent us a Christmas present. It covered everything.
The Philip Morris companies know there are many people in jeopardy. That's why, over the last 4 decades, we've contributed hundreds of millions of dollars to programs that can make a difference in someone's life.
Now the kids take pride in their home. Philip Morris didn't forget about us either. Whenever we've needed support, they've come through. They've helped me turn a homeless teen shelter into a home.
Working to make a difference. The people of Philip Morris.
You almost done, Dad?
No. I'm planning for your college education here.
Again?
Gotta keep track of this. Stocks, bonds, funds.
Is this a stock?
Yeah. Here's the price. Earnings over the last 10 years. PE ratio.
23.
Right.
Is that good?
Want a little guidance? Introducing the personal financial consultant from Quick & Riley, a Fleet Boston financial company.
You don't need Florida
To know who our guests are.
That new boss is from another planet.
Totally spaced out at that meeting.
Hey, what's that on your desk? ABCnews.com. Ready when you are.
We couldn't bear the thought of losing any more students due to not being buckled up.
We decided enough was enough. All of us at Centennial High School decided something had to be done.
That's when we formed a clique, a teen group large enough for anyone who wants to drive safer and live longer.
So you got your seatbelt on? Yeah. All right, you guys keep wearing them.
Join Centennial High School and other Williamson County schools. Make the pledge. It'll save your life.
First of all, I'm not denying that I used cellular. It was a very experimental time. Someone passed it to me, I put it to my ear, but I did not talk, I only listened. Even then, all I heard was static. But I have been free and clear ever since. I even chose long distance so I could reach out to young people across the nation and warn them of even casual cellular use.
The new Sprint PCS Free and Clear plan, $29.99 for 500 minutes, all with nationwide long distance.
It is 3 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time, and the celebration in Austin continues as a jubilant crowd awaits the arrival of Governor Bush. He has just received what he can only assume is the definitive phone call.
There was a brief telephone call placed by the vice president to Governor Bush within the last hour, shortly after we heard the results come from Florida, and from the Bush campaign's hearing of the conversation, which is obviously one-sided. They heard the governor tell the vice president that you are a formidable opponent and a good man. I know this is hard for you and your family. And then he wished the governor, or the vice president, and Tipper Gore well.
A mere 15 minutes later, about 3:15 Eastern Time, the margin of votes between Gore and Bush has dwindled down to about 1,000, well below the 0.5% difference, requiring a recount in the state of Florida.
I feel like I'm the sole person here standing in the way of talking about the Bush transition, but, you know, we see here the Florida Department of State Division of Elections website shows a very small margin of about 1,000 votes between the two men, with, according to this, 98.8% of the precincts reporting.
For those of you who went to bed or went off to brush your teeth and come back and say, hello, what's this, Dan Rather? Well, I got to tell you folks, A, I don't know. B. I don't know anybody who does know.
Now, I suppose something of a resurrection going on. People are looking at each other and hugging each other, and yet hanging on. They know that there's just nothing certain here tonight. And I can tell you that, as I said earlier, they are chanting recount every time as they watch these returns come in, as they watch our commentary and others, and somebody talks about the possibility of a recount, a big cheer goes up.
3:30 a.m. Eastern Time. At the Washington Post printing presses in suburban Maryland, the night production manager gets a critical call from the Post newsroom.
They reversed itself on Florida. Do not print any M3s.
M3s, the paper's next edition, are pulled.
This is no good.
We are going to take Florida back into the too close to call column.
CNN will confirm there will be a recount in the state of Florida, and CNN moves it to the undecided column back from George W. Bush.
CBS News has now, for the second time tonight, pulled back Florida. We are now putting Florida in the undecided category. This is a wild, woolly, and weird situation.
Word of the change has hit the Austin crowd via the Jumbotron, and it shows. The crowd is no longer jubilant.
The crowd has gotten extremely quiet as they are looking at this big screen as journalists are discussing why the vice president has not come out and make the concession speech that they all expected him to make. They are discussing these discrepancies in the numbers from Florida on the big TV screen, and the people here are understandably very attentive to that discussion.
Vice President Gore's motorcade is bound for the War Memorial, where he plans to admit defeat and say a few comforting words to his supporters. En route, cell phones and pagers begin ringing and beeping. The margin in Florida is now said to be a mere 600 votes. This is clearly no time for the vice president to make a public concession speech. But what about Gore's congratulatory call to Governor Bush? About 3:40 in the morning, Gore makes a second call. Democrats later described the conversation as contentious.
We have been told a little bit more about this telephone call, this second phone call from the vice president to the governor. We know that what the governor said in response to what this retraction was do what you have to do. That's what he told the vice president. Now, Karen Hughes, the governor's press secretary, asked to sort of characterize what's going on here. She said that she found the vice president's call to be unbelievable.
The New York Times stopped its 3 a.m. edition with the headline, "Bush appears to defeat Gore." A half hour later, the headline reads, "Bush and Gore vie for edge."
Just an hour or so ago, the TV networks called this race for Governor Bush. It now appears that their call was premature.
At 4:05 a.m. Eastern Time, Al Gore's campaign manager, Bill Daley, sent the crowd home.
Vice President Gore and Senator Lieberman are fully prepared to concede and to support Governor Bush if and when he is officially elected president. But this race is simply too close to call. And until the recount is concluded and the results in Florida become official, our campaign continues.
In Austin, Bush's campaign manager, Don Evans, sent a more defiant message.
We hope and believe we have elected the next president of the United States. They're still counting, and I'm confident when it's all said and done, we will prevail.
And with that, the crowd immediately cleared the plaza. There was an announcement that said, okay, the program is over for the evening, as if anybody needed that sort of information. And now we understand that the governor, who was planning to have a press conference about midday, which would be midday today now, has actually cleared his schedule. So everybody is just in a state of suspended animation.
Almost 100 million votes cast, and the election, it appears, is down to a margin of a few hundred votes in Florida.
To receive a daily email about each evening's Nightline and a preview of special broadcasts, log on to our webpage at nightline.abcnews.com.
Have you noticed? There's a colorful new breed out there. It's a fast breed, a smarter breed of inkjet printer. But don't worry, they're easy to spot. And at $149, just as easy to catch. Xerox, just a smarter breed of inkjet printer, now available everywhere.
We can expect in the coming months is Director of Product Development, Paul Noons.
Got it. Nortel Networks is building the new high-performance internet, the wireless internet, with optical technology that makes it faster.
Overall, this has been an exciting
and more
year.
reliable.
But the next few months will mark the beginning of a new Gesundheit.
Come together.
In fact, with technology changing
Over me.
What does it take to terrify the biggest names in Hollywood? 2 words.
Final answer? What? No, I'm scared to death. So nervous.
Well, I'm sweating bullets right now.
They're back.
Somebody just yell it out. I feel so stupid. I would have to guess on this
What
one.
was the question?
Oh, no.
That's a tough one.
A lot of good these lifelines are doing me.
It's my final.
The all-new Millionaire Celebrity Edition. It all starts Sunday, 9, 8 Central on ABC.
A year ago, my credit was wrecked. For 6 months now, I've been paying my bills on time. The car loan that I got from calling the Get a Yes Network is helping me take the final dents out of my credit.
Call the Get a Yes Network using your touch-tone phone. This is a free call 24 hours a day. Call 1-800-GET-A-YES.
I don't like spending time at the car finance office. The Get a Yes Network accepted my application over the phone, and all the paperwork was ready when I arrived at the car dealership.
If you've had your credit in a mess, call 1-800-GET-A-YES. That's 1-800-GET-A-YES.
They call them battlefields, where important victories were claimed. To us, these are even more important battlefields, where we're helping people all over claim victories over cancer at the only National Cancer Institute designated cancer center of its kind in Tennessee. Because cancer hits close to home, we're working to make sure victory does too.
Radio 590 KLBJ. Austin, Texas, pre-dawn this morning. Here's what they were talking about on the radio.
It was just after 1 this morning here in Nashville when the Florida race was called. A projection the networks had to pull back on when the Florida returns tightened up. Al Gore, prepared to deliver a concession speech, instead stayed backstage, letting his campaign chairman address the crowd.
21 after 5. I'm Mark Caesar. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Taking your calls. Mike is in Northeast Austin. Doesn't that burn you that they jumped the gun?
Yeah.
Twice.
Sure did.
Twice on that thing.
Sure did.
All right, Mike, thanks for calling. Have a good day, sir. This is Tracy and Wimberley. Good morning, Tracy. Welcome.
Morning, gentlemen. How are y'all feeling this morning?
Well, as I said a minute ago, I feel like I've been put through a ringer. Very, very emotional night. A long night. How are you feeling?
I feel like some invisible demon's been flying around beating me with a rubber hammer and I can't get away from it. At about 2:18, they give it to Bush. Well, I'm jumping around the house, turning the lights on, yelling and hollering about that time. I've just come from death to life again. Then I watch it a little bit longer and then they take it back again. I'm just aghast at how they can do that and give it and take it like that.
Katz's Deli, a few blocks from the governor's mansion here in Austin, Texas, is open round the clock, which is fortunate because it's 5:45 by the time we get here. The beginning of what promises to be another very long day in this still unresolved presidential campaign. How come you've been up all night?
Just thought it was interesting. I wasn't outside.
I've always been inside.
I mean, you've been at home all night, or?
I've been in my office. Yeah, I just stayed at the office on the internet and things like that. But I wasn't silly enough to be out in the cold.
So where do you think it's going to go from here?
I think we'll probably win in Florida. I mean, with 1,800 votes difference, that's a good amount. I mean, it's a small percentage, but I would think that's probably the way it's going to be. But didn't say I wanted it.
History on the whole, that's pretty good.
I was actually surprised. I figured they'd say Bush won.
And maybe they will say that, but not today. Today, the eyes of Texas and the whole country are on Florida. Chris Bury has that part of the story.
When the networks had first colored Florida as a Gore state, Governor Bush could not quite bring himself to concede that projection, an instinct, of course, that turned out to be prescient.
It is going to be a late night. I will tell you this. I'm going to wait for, in these a state like Florida, for example, I'm going to wait till they count all the votes. And I think America ought to wait before they count all the votes, too.
It may be a long wait.
ABC News projects that Al Gore wins the state of Florida in its 25 electoral votes.
We may have a problem with the pool call in Florida.
After those stunning network reversals that saw Florida bounce from Gore to toss-up to Bush, back to toss-up, Florida election officials set in motion a recount of every ballot in the state, mandatory in races with margins this tight. In Florida, Governor Bush leads Vice President Gore by 1,784 in a state where nearly 6 million ballots were cast.
Certainly, my preference is to do it as quickly as possible to give the voters certainty.
Earlier today, a somewhat subdued Texas governor insisted he was confident the final Florida numbers would go his way.
And if that result is confirmed in an automatic recount, as we expect it will be, that we have won the election.
But he also dispatched a high-level Republican emissary to keep a careful eye on the counting.
We have asked former United States Secretary of State, James Baker, to travel to Florida on our behalf. He's a man of impeccable credentials and integrity, and someone the American people can trust to make sure the outcome is finalized as quickly as possible and in a calm and thoughtful manner.
We still do not know the outcome of yesterday's vote, and I realize that this is an extraordinary moment for our democracy.
Vice President Gore, still hanging on to a sliver of hope, announced his own senior-level group to oversee the recount that could determine the presidency.
Secretary Daley and campaign manager Donna Brazile met with Joe Lieberman and me, and we agreed to ask Warren Christopher to play a key role in the process from here forward.
Tonight, campaign chairman Bill Daley and former Secretary of State Christopher arrived in Florida. Already, the Gore team is laying the public relations groundwork for a challenge in Florida by stressing the vice president's leading margin in the overall popular vote.
The American people who voted overwhelmingly, and the largest number ever voted for a Democrat, I believe, since Lyndon Johnson at least, that those people's rights should be protected.
Much of the controversy swirls around Palm Beach County, where Pat Buchanan drew more than 3,400 votes, a much larger percentage than anywhere else in Florida, and more than enough to put either Gore or Bush over the top. The confusion centers on the ballot. The Republican and Democratic tickets are listed on the left side, Buchanan's Reform Party on the right. But the punch hole for Buchanan is between Bush and Gore, and that, Democrats say, was the problem. Palm Beach County, apparently aware of the potential for confusion, sent out notices to poll workers to remind voters that, quote, they are to punch the hole next to the arrow, next to the number, next to the candidate they wish to vote for. Democratic sources in Florida tell ABC News some confused voters mistakenly voted for Buchanan. In fact, there were so many mistakes made, according to these sources, that more than 19,000 ballots in Palm Beach County, 4% of the total there, were disqualified because they contained punches for more than one presidential candidate. The Democratic argument is that many of those voters realized they had made a mistake and then punched in a vote for Vice President Gore, only to have their ballots thrown out for overvoting.
We have an election law catastrophe in Florida.
An angry Robert Wexler, the Democratic congressman representing Palm Beach County, argues there is enough evidence to justify not only a recount, but a court challenge.
I saw with my own eyes several hundred people come out of the ballot box in hysterics. But I also know other things. The numbers speak for themselves. Pat Buchanan wound up getting significant votes in condominium and senior communities where a overwhelming number of the people are moderate to liberal Democrats. There will be many ballots where there was actually straight Democratic ticket voting except for Pat Buchanan. I know my people. I know what they think and I know how they feel. Trust me when I tell you there are communities where Pat Buchanan would never get 5 or 6 dozen votes, and he did.
Today, Florida election officials said the ballot complied with state law and that both parties had approved it before the election. The Bush campaign insisted there was no evidence of fraud. Nonetheless, some Florida analysts believe a protracted legal battle is possible.
If the matter is not properly and quickly investigated, why wouldn't Al Gore or his representatives or any local political party, anyone who has legal standing, step up and demand a fair judicial inquiry into what happened?
Mr. McKinnon, your pre-election confidence must at least be jarred, if not shattered yet.
But Republicans also have complaints about Florida. They point out that the networks first called the state for Vice President Gore when polls in the northern panhandle were still open.
This is an unfortunate rush to judgment by the media, and we're concerned that that rush to judgment could have affected the voting in northern Florida in the panhandle. And I think there's going to be some real serious discussion about this. I hope there will be, because it could have literally affected the vote there.
That part of the state, unlike the rest of Florida, is in the central time zone. Today, Governor Jeb Bush, George W.'s brother, insisted that depressed voter turnout in a traditionally Republican region.
Both candidates, in my opinion, were treated unfairly by the early projections in Florida, as were the voters. In fact, maybe people outside of our state didn't know that we also have people on central time zone, and so the projection made at the beginning, in my opinion, put in play or put at risk some of the voters in the panhandle part of our state.
Tonight, Florida's recount is well underway. A new tally has just come in from the contested Palm Beach County. It results in a net gain of 643 for Vice President Gore, still short of the number that would take him over the top in Florida. The big question now, and it could be critical to the election, is whether the confusion in Palm Beach County convinces Democrats to challenge the results in court. And tonight, a senior official in the Gore campaign told us, quote, given the seriousness of the reported irregularities, things are definitely moving in that direction. This is Chris Bury for Nightline in Washington.
Tomorrow evening, the Bush campaign has tentatively scheduled a victory rally here in Austin. That's based on the assumption that the Florida recount will be complete by late tomorrow afternoon. But it's also clearly intended to convey a sense of inevitability about a man who may win the presidency despite the fact that his rival defeated him in the popular vote. One more scene in what will surely rank as among the most bizarre presidential elections in American history. For continuing coverage of the election, we hope that you'll join us on nightline.abcnews.com. That's our report for tonight. I'm Ted Koppel in Austin, Texas. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News.